Greetings, Avatar, and welcome to this month's Hangout of the Avatar. We are celebrating Release 23 and taking a look at some of the cool stuff that happened and some of the cool stuff we're looking forward to. And we also are having our first Hangout in the new offices, so you guys have a sweet setup there.
Pretty fancy.
Yeah, in fact, we've moved out of the dungeon, which is I know a lot of you had seen our previous abode, and while there was a time where we fit into it relatively comfortably, it always had a foot lower ceiling than normal, a little bit skinnier corridors than normal, and we were crammed in way more than is humanly proper for health and well-being. Some of you saw that even in our conference room we had our storage boxes of electrical supplies and keyboards and mice and our servers, if I remember. Yeah. We're also all stacked on tables. But anyway, so yes, it's very nice to be talking to hear from our new digs. And in fact, literally today, just minutes ago, our new banners that we'll be using to take with us to trade shows and things arrived. And from a Kickstarter, this is Zont's lighting and sound system. Anyway, we're having a good time here, moved into our new place. But as always, I'll jump in and say the first round of thank yous. It's thank you everybody for continuing to support us so amazingly well, coming along with us on this amazing ride. It's interesting. I also these days are often very thankful to the team, as I will repeat this time. We're at an interesting mode now where not only can we not show you the super secret wall where we have our countdown to alpha, no photos, but so we're really in a push that is exciting to be in here as a team, and there's the finished systems are now dropping into the game at a rate where for me as one of the people whose primary job it is to play the game and provide feedback and guidance, it's now very hard for me to keep up with the amount of amazing cool stuff that's going into the game. So I expect that's going to be true for you all too as you get a chance to play these next few releases. I think it's going to just be super exciting. So thanks to all of you for the support. Thanks to everybody in the building who can likely hear my obnoxiously loud voice for the amazing work you're doing.
Chris?
And I just want to say with the new space, this is the first time when we did one of these Hangouts where my first job wasn't the, oh crap, we left the refrigerator running, it's stupid loud, now we have to go pull the refrigerator out away from the wall and unplug it. So it's quiet so you can actually hear us talk. So that's actually a pleasant surprise.
And you're actually sitting in your chair at the start of the Hangout,
yes,
because usually right as the Hangout starts, you leap up from your chair and go turn off the fridge.
Yeah. And also, as office space much nicer for those who saw it, but I will point out that we got this on a sublease from a company, a tech company that was bought out at a crazy good deal. So this is actually a long sublease in the space. So we're still being fiscally responsible.
Very good. And it's multiple people per office.
Speak up so that everybody can see our office. Wait, Finn. And we have a lot more room. I'm not leaning into Finn anymore. He appreciates that.
Yeah.
But I will point out that while we have 30-ish people in here, that's the building says, oh no, there's only supposed to be 15 people in that office. That office is meant for 15 people. So even though we feel like we've got tons of space.
Yeah, and in fact, they only gave us 10 keys and 10 electronic cards, 15 keys and 15 electronic cards to get into the building. So we still are packed in by the standards of the building, but it's spacious by our historical understanding.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in. So again, thank you everyone for all your amazing support. And I think as Richard was mentioning, we're at this point where we're starting to get to where we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The velocity at which we're able to add new content, new features, etc., is accelerating. We're able to pile on existing systems. We're able to expand into whole new areas like subterfuge this release. So we're starting to see the ideas of being a roguish type character, and that's going to even expand in the next release with pickpocketing that Chris has been with the strong support of Lord British, who once again, his real life persona is the exact opposite of his in-game persona, as is mine.
You never know how Lord British is going to act though in this game. I might ace those subterfuge skills, and you might be surprised to see Lord British out picking a few pockets.
It is quite possible. Once again, I'm amazed by this community. Not only are you guys providing us the ability to move to a new office when our old lease ran out. That's got slightly more square feet, so thank you for that. But you're giving us all this, you're funding us to be able to make this product. That this kind of product like this probably wouldn't be made at all in our industry where it sits today, because we're not a mobile app. We're not building some free-to-play match 3 kind of thing. It's not a direct sequel with a slight incremental feature increase. It's a old school sandboxing kind of RPG, and you guys are the reason we're getting to do that. So thank you. And not only do you guys give us money and give us feedback and critique, but some of our local backers bring us awesome things like Scorpion Juice, which is vodka spiced with habaneros, which I love. Some people think it's a little too strong. Just today, one of our backers, Casey. So Jen made us that Scorpion Juice, and one of our backers Casey brought us some cupcakes, and we're going to answer a question later about cupcakes.
And I'll just point out also that we do pay a little bit of homage to these things when we get these things. The last release, one of the new boss creatures that went in, just as an experiment, was a ghost scorpion.
That's right.
Because this was actually made with with a ghost pepper. And so the ghost scorpion, when it stings you, it has a massive, long-duration fire dot.
And speaking of close members of our community,
yes,
who both contribute to the game from time to time, and things that we have in the building.
Yes, so we have a couple of guests today who came by. Mr. Joseph Grayson, who was in for business. And of course, you will all recognize our old friend and colleague, Rustic Dragon, a.k.a. Joseph Toslog. So, 2 Josephs.
Yeah, so Joseph.
Oh, look, they're going to make them do shots.
You should drink it after you do your talking.
Because it may make you cough.
Yeah.
So,
be aware.
Would you...
you want to say anything to the community? Have you enjoyed your visit? What have you seen?
It's been a wonderful visit.
Other than, you can't talk about
that. Just seeing the history of everything and seeing everyone work and what everyone's got going on, and hearing some of the cool mechanics, listening to some of the philosophy and design approaches. It's been really cool.
Excellent. Thank you.
Cannibalism 2025.
Yes, exactly. Cannibalism. I see it right there on the list.
Full loot PvP.
Full loot PvP. Yeah, you saw that there too.
And don't forget in-game ads. And lots of product placements.
And support for the gold farmers.
Oh yes. A lot of
If you toss in-game currency, the fish bite.
Oh yeah, right.
Throw it into the water.
Yeah.
For fishing.
Oh yeah, all the whole column of pay-to-win features.
Yeah, use gold as bait.
It has to be special.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Well, Haim.
You're done talking.
I'll start with my glass. Thank you. Perfect.
You're not having any?
Nobody poured it, so that's all right. Okay.
That's one of the disadvantages of not being in the office is I'm out of booze.
Wow. It's delicious. All right. So, and in honor of our guest today, not only do we have the Josephs in here, but Richard, who's usually attending these from New York. Since we have them all in the office today, I themed all our prizes today around their guest appearances. So one of the prizes is going to be a coin from the Festival of the Silver Serpent that Mr. Grayson hosts.
Those were designed by Sir Frank.
Yep, and we also have these. Joseph, would you like to describe what these are?
Sure. So way back before I worked at Portalarium, I ran the telethon at the Avatar, if you guys remember that, which was where, with your help, we raised 13 grand for soda in one day. And these were the Legends of Ultima cards, which were some of the rewards that were offered if you backed Shroud of the Avatar during the telethon.
You look so young.
So I made 12 trading cards, and these are Starr and Richard trading cards.
Sweet. So we're going to be giving away those later. And Richard, would you like to describe the other two artifacts that are very keen to you?
Yes, they are. They're near and dear to my heart. One is, I think a lot of you know that I made a brief off-planet sojourn back in 2008. This is the mission patch from my off-world journey, as well as a copy of the documentary that was made of it that also talks about a lot about computer gaming, because obviously what brought this into existence was computer gaming. There's some interviews with a lot of the other developers of MMOs as well, kind of the run-up to the flight itself. So yeah, we'll give you those away. I'll sign those before we send them off. Oh, and that's just here. That's for me.
Yeah, that's for you. All right. And big thank you, Mr. Grayson, for stuffing us full of Mexican food for lunch. Today. I'm still very full, but that Corky and juice will clean you right out. So, all right.
Did Joseph have beans?
What?
Did Joseph have beans? Because I need to know whether I'm happy or here with no Mexican food, or...
He did have beans. That's why we're keeping
his game that involves beans.
Yeah, his party game. Yeah.
Yeah, we heard about this amazing game design.
And that's why their guest appearance is going to be very brief. We're going to kick them out of this close room. So thank you, gentlemen. Any parting words of wisdom?
No wisdom, but I just want to take a moment to say, Gina, you look fabulous. I have been tracking your progress, and I am inspired by it. It is amazing. I just want to say personally, you are awesome and inspirational to me. So way to kick ass and take names.
Very sweet. Thank you. All right. And by the way, these two gentlemen are going to be doing their annual gatherings next year. So if you guys can give just a quick description of the two gatherings that you guys have every year.
In April 29 to May 1st, there's a gathering in Maryland for 3 days, 2 nights. We did this a year ago, and about 25 people got together for kind of like semi-LARPy, semi-just eating and drinking and being merry. Which we had, yes, it ended up being record-breaking heat, but we won't have that issue this year. So they'll be gathering in Maryland, FestivalOfTheSilverSerpent.com.
Awesome. And Joseph?
So whereas his event ended up being unnaturally warm, my event last November ended up being unnaturally cold. 2 days before it was 70-something. 2 days after it was 70-something, but during that weekend it was like 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
Which was great when you're running around in all your LARP gear, which that's what this is. So last year was Hobloff 2, Arthur Britannia Legends of the Heart, where Ultimate fans from all over the world, actually, we had people all the way from Germany attend this event. We gathered at Richard's property, dressed up in costume. But we had a lot of the original developers from the Origin days. We had Amanda, we had Jeff D, we had Penumbra, Arturos, we had Nystol, we had Captain Eli, we had the companion Katrina, of course, Starr and Richard were there, Dr. Cat was there. So the whole idea was you got to come, you got to play your avatar, you got to live action role play with the people the NPCs were based off of, and a great time was had by all. This year, or I guess it's going to be next year, Hoblock 3, Lifeblood of the Heart, is going to take place June 1st through June 5th here in Austin. You can check that out at heartofbritannia.com. The difference this year is it's longer than before. So you're going to get to eat, you're going to get to drink, you're going to get to be merry, there's going to be LARP combat, there's going to be questing, there's going to be games and fun stuff, but the real gist of it is that you get to make the quests and activities. So this lifeblood of the heart, without you, the lifeblood, there would be no Heart of Britannia. So check it out. The event page is up and running. Registration should open up in a few weeks once it finishes.
And Hoblock 2 was phenomenal.
It was amazing.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you,
Thanks,
gentlemen.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Bye.
All right.
All right. And in honor of our guests, our first giveaway is going to be this awesome collector's coin that's Frank designed for the Festival of the Silver Serpent.
And the winner of the coin is eSpiral. eSpiral wins the Festival of the Silver Serpent coin.
Great. Congratulations. Woo. All right. All right, let's get started with our first question.
All right, before we dive into the questions, just a couple guidelines to help out and get things going smoothly. If you actually want to receive your prize, then you definitely have to be using either your soda username or your soda display name. If we can't find you, we can't send you cool stuff. And if you have a question you'd like to ask during the Hangout, I will be taking questions live via the chat room. That's the IRC chat room, our official channel. And I'll only be able to pull from the actual soda channel. It's just too much for me to jump in between per private messages and other windows during the Hangout. So let's launch us off with one from our website that was handed in advance. It's from Jackknife. He's really pleased with some of the new NPC towns that went into game for Release 23. He was curious about some new towns that might be going into Release 24.
So as you guys know, Release 24 is a pretty short release. We're going to be coming out next Thursday. So usually our releases are 4 weeks. This one was a quick 3 weeks.
And also we had a week of patching after the last one. So really it felt like we finished. We did our last patch, and then 4 days later is lockdown. So,
but despite that, we're actually getting quite a few maps in for this release, mainly because we're getting now into this momentum where we're able to build the scenes and then spawn them the following release. So we've been working on the town of Exeter for a while, a little bit. And I would love Richard and Lum, if you guys want to talk a little bit about that town and what its significance to the story is and what players can expect, because I think it's going to show off some things better than we have been able to so far.
Yeah, well, I'll let Lum talk about it, but I'll just double down and just say it's one I'm particularly excited about because it is so unique, both in the story arc and the NPCs that are involved, as well as he's finally getting all the tools are on board for him to fully implement it as was envisioned for all cities ultimately. Lum?
So what Richard was referring to in terms of tools is that one of the things that people have been asking about is when NPCs are going to be doing something other than standing in one place and looking like they're an NPC. So we've had some experimentation with what we call schedules before, where an NPC will spend the day doing their thing, and then they'll go off at night and go home and sit in a chair because it's the only NPC animation we have for idling right now. And if you try to talk to them, they'll say, no, I'm off duty, go away. So we had that working, but it was a little weak, and we never really came back to it. Well, we've got the tools online now to where I think we can use it in a pretty major way. I talked about this some on the forum for those of you who follow that thread, but the basic gist of it is that almost every human NPC in etc. is going to be following a schedule. They'll have some place they go a day during their work, or whether they're hanging out waiting on something or what have you, and at night they'll go somewhere else. Some NPCs will go quote-unquote home, and they'll go up to their living quarters. Some NPCs will go to the local tavern. There's actually 2 of them in etc. because it's a fairly large city. And some of them will just wander around and keep doing their appointed rounds. But we're also, it's an interesting city, as Richard said, because it's very key to the plot. It's part of the Path of Truth, where if you did that initial part of the quest in Blood River, you may note that you have an obsidian dagger that you're carrying around. Well, if you get to that point, you start to figure out that it has a lot to do with the satyrs and the fauns and how they interact with each other and the rest of the world. Etc. is actually a town that is owned by the satyrs, and it's the one place where you can interact with them peacefully because they decided that here, instead of just randomly killing humans, they're going to try to take all their money. So it's very much a merchant city where humans, satyrs, and fauns all interact with each other. There's also a key plot point, which I'm not sure we want to reveal until you actually play through it, but it's part of the general quest line where you talk to people who are on their own quest, and you can figure out a little bit of the game story from there. So is there anything else, Richard, you wanted to hit on that?
I did notice you did say that humans path around, but of course also the non-humans path around.
Well, they path around, but the non-humans don't actually go to sleep. They actually, if you ask them about it, they feel quite superior about it.
Very good.
All right, let's get to the next question.
Our next question comes from another question from Jackknife. I had 2 queued up. What can we look forward to as far as crafting is concerned in R24? I know that there were a couple questions about the crafting tables.
Yeah, so great question. As we mentioned in last release, we've been doing some work under the hood, so to speak. on the crafting architecture, mainly related to the tools and materials, so how we write recipes and how the materials work through those recipes, which, when all of that is complete, should really open the floodgates and allow us to make hundreds and thousands of variations between combinations of materials for items. However, we're still kind of doing that work, but there are a few exciting things coming with crafting, the biggest of which is crafting table quality will now have an effect on crafting, and we're going to see the very first implementation of different levels of difficulty on recipes in the crafting book. So to date, if you guys remember from last, in R23, we added the percent chance for all the recipes in the book. So you would see before you actually went to make something what your percent chance of success was. But those of you who leveled up your crafting skills saw as soon as you got like in the 30s or 40s, everything shot up to 100%. That's because everything was at the base level of the book. So for R24 next week, we'll get at least not all of the recipes, but some of the recipes will start to have different levels of difficulty. So those are the two big changes: the crafting tables.
That gets maybe something I want to mention about really R25, but just so you guys know what's coming. I know you're familiar with the control points that kind of make it difficult to travel from region to region on the map. Well, one of those control points is called Hilt, and it's right near the city of Brittany. And that's a map that has been being worked on that also has the highest level of forges down deep in it, near the fiery core of the earth. And just seeing that one in progress is not only just aesthetically going to be very impressive, but as it's come together, some of the new design elements for how dangerous and difficult it will be to use that forge, how personally dangerous it will always be to use those highest level forges in the center core of a control point. I think it's going to be really exciting. So we've just got some really cool content in progress right now, I think.
And since people don't really know who does what maps, we don't talk about that much, Scotty is truly a master craftsman when it comes to maps. He's a 3D artist by trade, back to Ultima. I guess he worked in Ultima 9. Way back lead artist in Ultima 9.
He was since 5 or 6.
But he does an amazing job. So, what are his other maps? The underground one.
So he did the
Necropolis.
Epitaph.
Yep.
He did the Necropolis and the Hilt. Nightshade Pass, which is the fortress on the surface above the forges. That's going to be going in R24, and then the dungeons beneath that includes the forges. Those will go in R25. And he's actually got a really nice long thread where he's been giving updates. For those of you Developer Plus, you guys have been able to watch that. We've been posting excerpts from it in the updates, so you guys have been able to follow along. But it's going to be cool, yeah, because not only will that be one of the highest level forges, it'll be the only forge in the game that allows you to work with the material obsidian. So R25, not 4, will be the first time that crafting with obsidian
will be possible.
Yeah.
And when we say possible, the purposefully barely possible.
Yeah, insanely difficult, possible. So let's do another prize. This time let's do add-on store credit.
All right, the winner of add-on store credit this round is Lilu, L-E-E-L-U. Lilu wins $10 in add-on store credit to use for whichever she wants.
All right, let's get another question.
We have a question from Lord Andernut. He would like to know about the Jabbering Birther and Kinsman's Shield, basically add-on or reward items that aren't yet in-game.
Right, so as some of you might know, we have a sister project, Underworld Ascended, which is the spiritual successor to the Ultima Underworld series of games. And as a co-promotion, there are some items that if you promoted that you could purchase that supported both. One was the Jabbering Birther, and the other was this Kinsman Buckler Shield. We're actually just waiting on final assets. We've been working with the Underworld team, finalizing those assets, and probably sometime in the R25, R26 range, you'll see those again. So they're coming soon, but they're along the lines of you'll start seeing more and more of those pledge rewards appearing in the game. So, like for instance, in last release, we started getting the pets that you could place on your property in the game, and in R24, we're going to see more pets, including some clockwork pets. We're also going to see the Noble's Magical Reward of Discourse. That's going to be functional in the game, and a few other pledge rewards. So you'll see more and more of those pledge rewards appearing as we march towards top. All right.
And Gina, I need to give you a new symbol for your necklace.
No.
Oh, I like it when you guys fight over me. All right, our next question comes from Wolftum. He is excited about the large air and land-based creatures, trolls, dragons. He would like a large water-based creature, and I know, Starr, this question kind of got you excited earlier.
Yes, well, I'm going to let Richard explain, and then I'm going to talk about where some of that inspiration might come
Oh, that's hilarious. That's really hilarious, because, yeah, I'm very excited about this one, too, because I completely agree. I think we all agree. And where this most recently came up is actually in, what do you call that, Nightshade Pass?
Yeah.
That, the outdoor area around Hilt. You'll see it here in this release, but it's an area that just begs for a water-based monster. It will surely make you think of, it wasn't ever in the movies, but it was in the book in Lord of the Rings, the creature outside the Mines of Moria in the lake. It wasn't the movie? No, it wasn't the movie too, you're right, yeah. They ate the horse. And, but in any case, when you see this face, you'll just go, yeah, this just really needs that badly. And so we've been brainstorming around about the tentacle monster and how it can work technically, and we think it will not only make this particular scene great. By the way, it won't be in for R24 or probably even R25. It hasn't even been started, but it's something we're all very excited about, and we also see its application in a wide variety of other areas of the game, including when we eventually get to this ship combat stuff a fair bit later. That will also be good for attacking ships. And so, what we end up calling it, we haven't decided yet if it's a Kraken or whatever else, but yes, see a water-based mega creature is absolutely on the list.
Yeah, so lots of tentacles, but we should be clear that it's inspired by Lord of the Rings, not Japanese films of a certain kind.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. Next question.
Our next question comes from Rampage. Rampage would like to know what kind of plans are being made for virtue tracking and reputation implementation for the game, and specifics on what type of mechanics are being planned.
Well, let me take that one, because it's important to both tell you what's happening and also not tell you what's happening. Because part of my theory about virtues is that we are now, by the way, putting in virtue tests all through the game. I've seen many of them go in just these last few weeks. They'll already be in R24, for example, and they come out of everything like I will tip one to you, which has to do with the relationship between the satyrs and the fauns. The satyrs are commonly actual evil opponents who will attack you, and if you face down a wicked opponent that is after doing you in, that is, of course, is a courageous and virtuous thing to stand up against. On the other hand, you will learn about the relationship with fauns. That fauns are actually they don't have any beef with you. They're basically the slaves of the satyrs. And while they are enslaved by the satyrs, they might fight you. But if you'll find here soon in this next release, I think this relationship will be in the next release. You'll see that the fauns actually will stop attacking you once you kill off the satyr that is with them. And at that point, you actually shouldn't. It's less courageous for sure to go take these things, these meek, mild-mannered, wimpy little targets. If you go and massacre them, that's actually not particularly virtuous. And so that's an example of the kind of test that is going in the game. However, it's really important, I think, that we actually don't tell you all the tests, and that you guys constantly have to sort through them and put them on the web or tell each other, and we'll keep adding more or change them up a little bit, because we want people to be on their natural best behavior, not be min-maxing exactly the ones we are able to test and looking for ways they could sneak around it and maybe steal an item that didn't get detected by the way we implement theft detection. And so we're never going to make a published list of all of the ways you can demonstrate truth or love or courage. But suffice to say, there's already now many. There were some put in a couple of releases ago just as a test case, and now they're going in mass quantity. But it'll be up to you guys to figure them all out.
Also, I'll just note that for quite some time now, you can go talk to the Oracle, and it will tell you one thing that you've done that the Oracle noticed.
Yeah. That's already happening, man.
Yeah. Beware, you're being watched.
All right, let's do another question.
Sorry about that. Did you want to pull one that I've put up in chat?
Let's talk about. I'm going to mangle the pronunciation of this, but Kyle Kato 2 question was, what will be the motivator for adventuring parties, like more XP, skill advance faster, etc. So I'm going to start, and Chris is going to answer part of this too. So in last release, we did add the Grandmaster and Apprentice system. So players who are a Grandmaster in a skill that are adventuring with players who are also using that same skill, the lower level players will earn experience faster, and that skill will advance. Therefore, that skill that they're using will advance faster. So that's already in. There's already XP sharing for parties, and so some of that's already happening right now.
Yeah, what Starr said on that, but also the party, the grouping, there's a bonus. I think it's maybe 10% per person in the party. So it piles up. Now, of course, you still split it more ways, so it's still less per creature you kill, but in theory, you should be killing a lot more stuff. Also, more importantly, as I think I mentioned this either in my combat talk or the last Postmortem, is as we move into R25, R26, the big focus is going to be on party mechanics and actually making it so it's easier to play roles, working on more aggro mechanics, working on the type of stuff that will make it more beneficial to be in a party. The one person, so if you want to, of course you can play any role you want to, but you can take on the role of a tank and a healer, and it's actually more beneficial. Right now, the most beneficial still is kind of the I do everything. Part of that is just because of lack of aggro ability or aggro control. It's in there, but it isn't working as expected. It needs tuning, and then also the ability to pull creatures from groups and those types of things. So we'll be getting there. There'll be more and more reasons to group up. There's already some stuff in there now, though.
Yeah, I'm excited too, because it's not going to be in this release, and maybe not even the next one, but Slash Assist is going to be going as well.
Yeah, and that may make this release. We'll see.
Yeah, because lockdown's today.
Yeah, our 4-day sprint here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the things we had to get in for Pickpocket was the ability, the server needed to know who someone has targeted. I don't think we have any questions lined up about Pickpocket, so I'll mention it now.
Yeah,
so like if I'm pickpocketing Starr, the server needs to know who Starr targets, because that's how you catch someone who's pickpocketing you, is if all you have to do is target them. So we had to add that in for the server, so the server would know. Other clients could also know who is targeting who, so that a player, that also gives us the easy option of you can assist Starr and target his thing, which is another one of those big party mechanics, is having like this guy is the guy driving combat, he's picking the targets, and everybody wants to assist him, but there's not a good way to do that right now, other than him actually shouting out like, this one, this one, this one, but you got like 5 creatures in front of you, it's hard to tell. So that's a big party mechanic, and also a big rating type mechanic is.
You put it as a slash command and a right-click menu command for people like
that? It'll go in as a slash command, and then I'm probably also going to try to sneak in a crazy cool thing.
Will be also a right-click menu?
There'll be an option for it, yeah, it'll be through clicking. Great.
All right. Let's do one more question and then a prize.
Our next question comes from PKU, and it's actually a couple questions about items. He wants to know if stone crypts will be placeable on knights' homes or large homes that are big enough, and are vendors able to wear rare quest reward hats?
So those are great questions, and my answer is going to be framed in a way that you guys are going to start to recognize. I already started doing a little bit on the forums about some questions about player-owned towns and the size of the templates we're using. And as we're doing this march towards alpha, we're going to start making some choices about what's going to be, ready for the launch of episode 1 and what we're going to add as part of continuing updates to the product after launch. And so for now, we're not going to be allowing people to put large structures on top of buildings. There's a lot of issues we have with that, so things like the crypt on there. An example of allowing that is there is some sight lines related to the tops of buildings and seeing the edges of the maps, which we had to go back and do actually a bunch of cleanup on scenes when we added the obsidian towers, which are insanely tall. And so allowing you to put a tall structure on the top of yet already a tall structure would be problematic. We can maybe worry about finding solutions for that later, but I'm not going to prioritize that for episode 1. Same thing with customizing your NPCs. We absolutely want to support that. I think it's a fantastic idea. But taking the time to write that system beyond just allowing you to rename your NPCs, it's just not something we're going to have time to address everyone.
And then renaming will bring in now.
Yeah, renaming is actually going to go into next release. And in fact, I think there was an earlier question in IRC from Ember about NPC customization. And so to answer that question now, Ember, we are going to allow the renaming of your servants and pets and tame creatures in episode 24. And Burning Toad has been working on that. Most of them.
Reading her question, I think she was actually asking about the backer reward for the NPCs that we place and the ability to customize those.
Oh, okay.
And also, just because it'll come up, just want to point out that when Starr says it's not going to make episode 1, that doesn't mean it's going to not show up until episode 2.
Right.
That means it will probably show up sometime after episode 1 goes live, but before episode 2.
Yeah, so back to the thing. Okay, thank you for the clarification, Lum. Do you want to talk a little bit about the NPC customization reward thing?
I'm going to pitch it back to you because it's a scheduling question.
So it's going to be done for alpha, but we haven't released that alpha date yet. So it's not going to be before the end of the year, but it will be very early next year. Okay. Let's do a prize. So we're going to give away a Heart of Britannia collectible card of this handsome young devil.
Very handsome.
Yeah.
Very handsome.
Unlike this person over here.
Hey, wait.
Yeah, and so right now it's currently unautographed, but we will autograph it before we get.
And the person starting their soda developer card collection is Beechin. He gets a leg up on everyone else.
Oh. Woo! Congratulations!
Bravo, bravo.
All right. Let's grab another IRC question. Let's see. Let's see. Barnabas Root asks, will we ever see more biome-specific homes for purchase, such as the Adobe homes for the desert biome? Yes. In fact, I think there's another question that was asked before the Hangout about underground theme housing, and there were some suggestions in a player thread about, mushroom houses, much like we have the tree houses or the houses in the hill and things like that. Yes, long term we want to have lots of biome-themed housing. Right now it's not at the top of the queue, but you'll see a few houses sneaking in every now and then, and there will be some more themed for biome. So yes, in fact, what we'd like to do, and it's kind of on our wish list for episode 1, but one of the things in some of the recent scenes that we've added that have snow in them, we've gone back and added snow to the rooftops of some of those buildings, and so we have a wish list item on the tech side of things to be able to do texture swaps on buildings based on the biome they're in. So, for instance, if the building is placed in a snowy scene, we automatically put snow on the roof.
Of course, if you do that, you can make it all change if the weather changes.
We could. And then also, like, for instance, if you put something like a building with darker stone in, say, a desert scene, give us the ability to, like, swap that out for a more sandstone look. So, like, if you put your Knight's Keep, for instance, in a desert scene, we would swap out that stone texture for a more sandstone texture. So it's on our wish list. Don't know if we'll make episode 1, but we'd like to do. So let's do another one from before the Hangouts.
Our next question comes to us from Raven Swiftbow. He is concerned about the shortage of mage agents, harvestable mage reagents, and would like to know if there are any plans regarding those, and also.
Well, let's take one first, and then we'll get to the next one.
Yeah, I can't really. I'll have to make that a shorter one.
Well, Chris can answer that one. Okay, so the first one, we are aware of the challenge of being able to get enough reagents for magery. So one, we'll be fixing that over a much longer term, but in the near term, one modification that's going into ARC-24 that's coming released next week is that enemy combatants that are mages, so skeleton mages and elf mages and things like that, those guys and liches, those guys are going to start dropping reagents as their loot because that would make sense that they're mages and they would be using those to cast their spells. So they're going to be probably your best bet to find reagents in addition to general harvesting. So that should represent a significant increase in availability of those.
And also don't forget too that for example, Black Pearl. It's only been the last couple of days here that I've seen B working on the code, for example, so that when you go harvest the oyster beds, it can pay attention to the time of day and phases of the moon to make them harvest black pearls specifically on new moon nights. So all that stuff's just coming into being. So some of the reagents, I'm guessing, are actually not findable in nature at the moment. So you still have to go buy them. I'm guessing.
I think they're all available, but they're not in significant enough quantities.
And that's the other thing, is we're going to be cranking up the number you get out of each one of these. Taking you harvest things too. It's fighting things that cast magic and getting reagents from them is great, but that doesn't give you a way really to go harvest because you end up burning them as you're trying to farm them. You're really just exchanging them for new ones. So.
Yep. And then that follow-up question that Raven had.
Yeah, so that's in prior releases, the spell required 4 different reagents, might only actually consume 1 of the reagents cast. Now it uses each. I don't think that's changed at all. I think it is, before it did use 1 of each in there. The math behind it is it looks at how many you have, and the penalty for not having reagents is based on what percentage of the reagents you have, but it will consume 1 of all of them. There is an optional thing that we've done for a few of them that are kind of like weak enough that we didn't want them consuming reagents, that they only have a % chance, like a 10% chance to use one of them. So that may have been what he was seeing in 1 or 2 instances, but that hasn't changed. Sheep.
Yeah.
The 16 pixel icon.
Oh, that's totally the Lady Archer.
All right. Sheep.
My eagle eyes can spot it. Okay. All right. Let's do another add-on store credit prize, Mr. Lam.
The winner of the add-on store prize is Spartacus. Don't everyone speak up at once and claim to be Spartacus. There's only one, and he gets a $10 add-on store prize.
Huzzah, Spartacus!
Did you actually pick that randomly, or did you pick that name just because you wanted to make that joke?
No, I have a script that picks names randomly. I just came up with a joke later.
Man, so good. Okay, let's see. Let's pick another IRC question. So Justin04 asks, will any of the expired add-on store homes be released again before episode 1? We currently do not plan to do that. We reserve the right to maybe do it, but we don't plan on it because the point of expiring them was to expire them to give people a last chance to purchase. Plus, the people who did purchase them, expecting them to expire, associate a certain value to them. We've been purposely gating the number of things we sell. That's why we have things like the quest hats that can only the release that in each release that you can only get. So we want items to have a rarity. So right now, and so that would be unfair to the people who bought those homes prior to the expiration. So we don't plan on doing that. And if we did, in the theoretical case where we did, they would come back at quote full price, which is on average anywhere between 10% and 100% more than what was asking price. That would be the only way they would come back, is at a much higher price. All right. So let's do another one from before times.
All right, our next question comes to us from Sir Grant, but before I ask the question, please remember that if you private message me during the Hangout, chances are I'm not going to answer you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just really trying to focus on 4 other things. So Sir Grant wants to know if we can elaborate more on the second and third character slots that some of the reward levels have and the interaction between the characters that are created on the same account.
That's a great question, and the characters will share the same bank inventory, and they will share the same property ownership. So whatever
forced kindred.
Yeah, because they will have all the same permission and ownership of the property. The only thing that will not be accessible between the characters is whatever is in your quote mobile inventory, like whatever is walking around with your character. So it's only stationary inventory, either containers that you placed on your property or your bank inventory that will be accessible by all the characters.
And I can't remember what our last discussion was about. Everybody has their own infinite game state, obviously.
Yeah.
Do they have their infinite virtue state?
No.
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah. Each one that plays is affecting the total virtue state.
Right. So it's the family virtue.
Yeah. All right. Because they're all you, right?
Right.
So
one account is one manifestation.
Yeah. So this has actually come up a lot, and so I'd like to take a little moment to have a sidebar about this because we were talking about it at lunch as well. I know some players who didn't play Ultima, or even those who did play Ultima, or maybe played Ultima Online and not the linear Ultima, have expressed some concern about how character creation works, and how answering the questions to Arabella determines your starting state, how the virtues are shared between the different characters on the same account. So I'd like Richard to talk a little bit about what that means and what that's always meant for.
Yeah. So let's go back to the invention of the word avatar. As some of the older folks listening will remember, prior to Ultima 4, no game used the word avatar for your character. Your character instead was called your character, and it was the character you were playing. And so it wasn't necessarily you. In fact, if you were playing a Conan the Barbarian game, you would be inhabiting the body of Conan the Barbarian, and you should win or lose the game based on how well you act like Conan. Or if you play, for example, a Tomb Raider game, there's a new one of those I think coming out. You are playing Lara Croft, and so it doesn't matter who you are from Earth. You should win or lose that game by how well you act like and perform in the same way as Lara Croft would. What would Lara Croft do, so to speak? It would be your mantra for success in that product. With Ultima 4, I said, look, I'll write a game about virtues. I want to tell a story. So that people, instead of, if you're supposed to be the hero to save the world, that is incongruous with you stealing from all the shops and killing all the NPCs and then finally murdering the supposed bad guy that's waiting for you at the final level. And so I said, look, I want you to feel personally responsible for the actions of that character. And that's where I borrowed the word avatar, which was a Sanskrit word that meant the physical incarnation in human form on Earth of a deity, and often referred to as a Hindu deity. So Vishnu, the elephant god, when he comes down to Earth in human form, that was his avatar. And Ultima 4 was the first use of avatar in the sense of this is your manifestation in our world. And that's what we started with Ultima 4. You don't create a character in Britannia. You actually go out behind your house and you find a moon gate, and you, the Earth human, walk into it, and you are transported to Britannia. And when you arrive there, you might undergo some changes. You might gender bend. You might become a big, tough, brawny fighter. But it's your soul inside that character. Or just like in the when James Cameron did the movie Avatar, your mental essence is transferred into the organic body of that other species they grew for you. And so first know that is what we mean by your avatar. This is you. You, the Earth human, you are responsible for those deeds. It is not okay, in my book, that you can have two characters that are not you. That one day you could log in as your friendly person to go to Starr and say, hey, Starr, I know you're a newbie just playing this game, but I'm going to convince you to make your house in this PvP village next door that I happen to run. But don't worry, because everybody who lives here is really nice, and we're going to help you build such a nice place, and you can store your belongings right here in this shed. I'll help you build it, and now I'm going to log out with that nice character, log back in with my evil character, and then go bonk you on the head and steal all your stuff. And with multiple characters that are not related spiritually, that is the behavior that I think people commonly did do and would continue to do. And I know that you still, in theory, could do it by buying two accounts, but there's obviously nothing we can do to stop people from it at some level. But I don't want to enhance people's ability to swap characters between being a good and evil person and take advantage of other players during the game. This is your one way of manifesting into our world your body or your essence. And even if that is possible to manifest in a couple of different physical ways, just because some days you like to be the bartender and hang out and look in a certain way and play in a certain way, and on another day when you want to be the svelte archer that looks a little different, plays a little different, that's fine. You have different play styles, but they're all you. And the whole thing about the character creation also, one of the ways that we help you feel like it was you was through the virtue questions. And by asking you questions such as, asking you moral dilemmas, where you would say, look, here's somebody that owes your friend a lot of money who drops a bag of gold. Do you give the gold back, or do you first take the money that owed your friend out? That's a true moral dilemma. And based upon how you answer those moral dilemmas, lets us know a little bit about your personality. And so we register that. And we register that in how you manifest into this world. But, by the way, we're a use-based system, and so those minor minutes of advantage we give you into one direction does not mean at all you can't immediately make a sharp left turn. And if you manifest in the world with a little bit of magic skill, and you go, really, I want to be an archer, all you got to do is put the wand in your pocket and pick up the bow and start shooting. And trust me, you'll be just as good an archer as the person who started on the other side of the world with a bow in their hand to begin with. And so you're not losing anything through this process, but what the process is intended to do is reinforce this is you, your one life, your spirit manifesting in this world in a continuum from your original existence on Earth.
Yeah.
So there.
All right.
And it's not debatable, by the way. This is not open for discussion. This is one of the precepts of the intellectual property that will be hard fought to consider very many changes to.
And he doesn't say that very often, by the way. I mean,
almost never.
Almost never, and so when he does, it means a lot.
Yeah, and Starr and I gave up trying to argue. Well, other games do it this way. Other games do it this way.
So we're not other games.
We're not other games.
Right.
Not that we won't use that excuse for other stuff.
Yes, we will go.
Right.
We'll
Yeah,
So we'll use that excuse. So that's how other games do it. So we're gonna do that one.
I'm losing that one on the control interface.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do another prize, another collectible card to some ugly dude that never heard of. So Mr. Lum.
So the winner of the collectible card for some ugly dude you've never heard of is Kaioketo 2, the person.
Kaioketo 2.
Yes, the person who's we're both struggling over the name now. The Kayokiddo 2 wins the Starr Long Guy You Never Heard of collectible card prize.
All right, congratulations. Woohoo! Way more valuable than this other one. Way more valuable than that one. All right.
Wait, what? What?
Okay, next question from the Before Times.
That card goes with my necklace a little better, too. I
Oh, yeah.
don't know why. Firefly Girl would like to know if we'll ever be able to place shop signs on our homes or businesses that will help us identify what they are, let other players know what they're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually want to allow. So we have a plan for a variety of signs of different styles, materials. Some craftable, some purchased on the add-on store, most of them craftable and placeable, and then give you the ability, just like we allow you starting next release to rename your NPCs, we're also going to allow you to change the content of the tooltip that you see when you hover over that sign. So you'll be able to name your shop or put whatever information you want to put in there. So absolutely, signs are coming. Probably not till 26, so January, but they are coming. Definitely in the plan. And let's see, maybe we'll grab another from IRC. Led Zepp asks, is there any way to reserve your game name in relation to when the game goes live? That's a great question. Right now, our current thinking is that name reservation will go in the same sequence that property selection will go in. So that's the current thinking for how name reservation will go. So there's a lock selection sequencing post with all the details about that on the forums that you guys can refer to. That's the current thinking about the order in which names will appear. Okay.
But no lawyers, bro.
Yeah, we were joking about how these postmortems are basically us giving up our Miranda rights because, whatever we say can and will be used against us. So that's okay. We're okay with that. Okay. Another 4 times question.
Next question comes from Baron Jerkus. He would like to know, and when we've actually got this question from several different people, both in chat and on the website, people asking about balancing, either item balancing, like balancing two-handed weapons, balancing combat. Can you maybe address that a little bit?
Yeah, Chris, why isn't the game perfectly balanced?
So just so people know, Baron Droxus and I talk quite a bit via private messages, and he's a good friend of the project. So the balancing is going to continue every release. Last release, there's kind of a reboot to a lot of the balancing stuff. A lot of things changed. Armor's changed to be less effective in the high-end armor. This next release, probably the biggest balance thing going in is that most non-tier 1 skills and spells will be a little more effective. Critical chances will be going up a little bit, the chance to get a critical hit on magic, and critical damage for both melee and for spells will be going up. This is one of the things we've seen as people get into the lower levels, it was feeling good for both PvP and PvE. But as people are getting into higher levels, the PvP kind of slowed down because defense is easy. Also, there'll be a small nerf to healing in that they will probably cost more mana, more focus. But anyways, balance will be ongoing. We look at a lot of different numbers each release, and I know there's a big debate as to whether or not a lot of people just want to be able to set their skill levels right now. There's a long, 100-message thread in the forums that no one likes grinding, which we don't like grinding either. That's why we've got the 4 times experience multiplier on for most people. But the grinding is a bit, we're trying to simulate what the game is going to be like just at a much faster pace. So we kind of need that so we can see what people are actually using and what they end up gravitating towards. If you could just go and set all your skills to 100, we would not get accurate results as to what people are actually using. But anyways, balance will be ongoing. We do track what people are actually doing. And have the graph set up so we can see what skills get used and what skills don't get used, and how many people use, bladed versus blunt versus wands versus everything else. But anyway, balance will be ongoing until we're live, and probably after we're live.
Basically, until the end of time.
Yeah, till the end of time.
Until the project is, no longer available.
Right now, we're taking its big swings. It'll start moving into smaller swings.
Yeah, and we're very committed to that, to tending to that forever. Where I think some online games or multiplayer games tend to grow stale over time is where that balance isn't tended over time, because people figure out, oh, this is the best strategy today, and then they figure out a new strategy, and so it constantly needs to be tweaked, and we're definitely committed. So, another before times question.
Sorry, I lost track of my mouse. Sarah Dragon would like to know how many more player towns are planned to be sold.
Well, as many of you know, we drew a line and stopped selling player-owned towns that had direct access to the overworld. And because of that decision, we currently don't see a particular need to limit sales of those, because they won't be filling up the overworld. And speaking of which, Novians are starting to notice that, and they're not too happy about it. So you might start seeing some
NPC blowback.
Yeah, some disgruntled Novians talking about this invasion of Outlanders eating up all the real estate and consuming all the resources.
Also, in one thing I've noticed from people who are submitting player backgrounds for their NPC backer rewards, if anyone submits an NPC that's essentially an advertisement for their player town, that background is going to get lost. It's our guideline that, with the exception of things like Starr just mentioned, Novian NPCs don't have a lot of knowledge of player-owned towns in general.